All right. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at a little project that I created, and I'd like to show it to you, and then we'll look at the various parts of it. So this is the project, kind of a little quick thing that I put together, and let's look at it again. Okay, call your attention to a few things over here. Right now, I'm previewing this over and over again because I have a looping command on over here. So this is allowing me to, through the space bar, using the space bar just to loop the playback over and over again. What is determining how I'm playing that back is the workspace that I have set up via this, this gray line with the two little blue tabs at either end. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop that and let's look at the rest. So I can either use the space bar for playback or I can use the preview button over here, or the preview panel. If for some reason that preview panel closes or isn't there for any reason, in fact, if any of these panels are closed, you simply can come over here and find them again, and they will open up right into the area that you like them to open up into. All right, so I have several things going on here. I'm going to show you Crawling Spidey the last because that guy gets kind of confusing, and I want to show you specifically how that's put together. The first thing that we have here is a holiday pumpkin. Now, this comes, the pumpkin actually is just, it's just an image. It's just like a JPEG image or a PNG file. I think it's a JPEG image, and let me just check on that. Yes, it's a JPEG image. Okay, so our holiday pumpkin has two effects. One is the color range effect. Now, in the color range effect, we can decide to just pick the color white, for example, and that will remove the white background, and that's how we're able to get rid of that white background. So it still is a square JPEG file, it's just that we're keying out that part of it. And then we have another effect called the scatterize effect, which we see later on. This effect that sort of like makes the pumpkin explode, that is created through using CC scatterize, which is just another effect. So where do all of these effects come from? If we look at the effects and presets window, you can see that there are, there's just a ton of effects that are in here. I'm going to take that particular one out, and you can just see all of the various effects that you can come up with. And there are just many, many, many of them. So generally, it's kind of a good idea to have some sense of what sort of effect you are actually looking for. And because as you can see, there's many, many, many. Anyhow, effects are something that you can apply to a layer and, will create an effect. So that is a scatterize effect. And then there's also a slight transform here, which is just setting up a motion path, and the pumpkin is traveling along that motion path. Obviously, that path, we could change that path and change its Bezier curve and all of that if we wanted to. And that, of course, would take the pumpkin in a little bit of a different direction. And then we've also set up some keyframes to do some easing in and out. So anyhow, that's the holiday JPEG there, holiday pumpkin JPEG. Now right now, it's actually re-rendering the change, so I just changed that, the pumpkin motion path. So now it has to re-render all of these parts over again. Of a couple of other things, we have a spider in here. That's this little spider right here. And a couple of layer styles were added. We added an outer glow, and that is just done through layer, layer styles, and in this case it was just an outer glow that was added. Once you add that, then you can come into your, layer styles will show up in the timeline, and you can, you can adjust colors and spread and size and range and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. So if, for example, if I wanted the spread to be a little bit more, I could do that, or a little bit less, whatever you want to do there. You could also adjust the color. So if I wanted the color to be a little bit more orange, kind of like the background pumpkin, you could do that as well. All right, and so that's that one. Let's see, what else do we have? We also have the word spooky. And let me go to that word for a second. So that word is just a piece of text, and the way that it gets distorted is through the liquefy command. Liquefy is something that we see in Photoshop and other image kind of processing apps. And so what the Liquefy app does is it allows you to, using one of these different tools, it allows you to sort of warp things over time. And you can set those up in keyframes. So you can see at this keyframe, spooky is still pretty much what it was. But as the keyframes move on, obviously the distortion becomes more accentuated. Okay, so that is that particular item. Now we're going to come to the more confusing one probably, and that is called Crawling Spidey. Now this comes in as an entire composition, and so this is an example of a nesting composition. However, Crawling Spidey is right over here, and you can see Crawling Spidey has a lot of things going on all on its own. All right, so Crawling Spidey has this action that's happening all along here. And so we have transforms happening all along, with all of Spidey's legs and things of that nature. Okay, so we're looking at the Crawling Spidey little movie here. And so actually this is a composition. And this is the nested composition that we see over here in Comp 1. So Crawling Spidey is its own composition, and it has this action, right, that does this. Crawling Spidey actually comes from, let me actually see if I can pull this up. This was actually an image that I brought into Illustrator, and then I broke it apart in Illustrator using Image Trace and Live Paint and stuff like that. So anyhow, it originates from Illustrator, which is what you'll end up doing probably quite a lot of the time. So if we just look at Spidey's eyes, we can see that there's a few positions, kind of like doing a little blink there. Now there's a lot of better ways you could do this. This is just kind of quick to show the idea. Let's take a look at, let's see, the left. Okay, so as you can see, each one of these has various positions.